Let me ask you something that might shake everything you think you know about love. Why do people really fall in love with you? And before you answer, before you say, my personality, or my looks, or, because I'm a good person, I want you to stop. Because according to Alan Watts, one of the greatest philosophical minds of our time, we've been getting this wrong for generations. You see, Alan Watts discovered something that most people spend their entire lives missing. He said we confuse love with 1,000 different things. We think it's about beauty, status, charm, or possessions. We polish ourselves like objects on display, hoping someone will choose us from the shelf. But here's what'll blow your mind, none of that is why people fall in love with you. Stay with me now, because what I'm about to reveal will change not just how you understand love, but how you approach every relationship for the rest of your life. Alan Watts said that there are only 2 reasons, not 10, not 100, just 2 fundamental reasons why another human being falls deeply, irrevocably in love with you. And most people never discover what these are. They chase the wrong things, they perform, they pretend, they exhaust themselves becoming someone they're not. All while the real answer sits right beneath the surface, waiting to be understood. Now, I know what you're thinking. Only 2 reasons. That's too simple. But that's exactly what makes this so profound. As what's often taught, the deepest truths are always simple. It's our minds that complicate them. Before I tell you what these 2 reasons are, I need you to understand why this matters so much. Because once you see what I'm about to show you, you'll stop wasting energy on masks. You'll stop trying to be impressive. You'll discover that the path to real love isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more fully yourself. Are you ready? Because these 2 reasons, discovered through Alan Watts' deep understanding of human nature, are about to transform everything. But here's what Alan Watts understood that most of us don't. We're living in a world of elaborate costumes. Think about it. Right now, someone is at the gym, sculpting their body, convinced that if they just get the right physique, love will come. Someone else is working overtime, piling up money, believing that wealth equals worthiness. Another person is practicing clever lines, rehearsing charm, thinking that wit will win hearts. And Alan Watts would look at all of this and say, you're chasing shadows. According to Alan Watts, we've created an entire marketplace of love based on transactions. We believe that if we accumulate enough of the right things, beauty, money, status, charisma, someone will finally choose us. But this isn't love. This is commerce. And commerce, Watts warned, can never satisfy the human soul. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. All those things you're chasing. They fade. Beauty ages. Wealth evaporates. Charm becomes predictable. Status shifts. And yet, real love endures through all of this. How is that possible if love was based on these things in the first place? It isn't. And that's the point. Watts said we confuse attraction with love constantly. Attraction is that electric spark when you first see someone. It's quick, bright, intoxicating. It flares up like a match struck in darkness. But love? Love is not a match. Love is a fire. And keeping a fire alive requires something far deeper than a spark. Now pay attention to this next part, because this is where most relationships collapse. People meet, they're dazzled by surfaces, the way someone looks, the way they dress, how they speak, what they own. For weeks, maybe months, they believe this is love. But then something strange happens. The shine fades. The same beauty, the same charm that once captivated them suddenly isn't enough. Why? Because, as Alan Watts would say, the costume cannot feed the soul. Think about every relationship you've seen fall apart. Was it really because someone's looks changed? Or was it because there was nothing beneath the surface? The mask was beautiful, but behind it was emptiness. And emptiness, no matter how well decorated, cannot sustain love. So if beauty, wealth, and charm aren't the answer, what is? What did Alan Watts discover about the true nature of love? Stay with me. This is where it gets interesting. First reason, aliveness. According to Alan Watts, people fall in love with you when you awaken life within them. Now, let me explain what this means, because it's not what you think. Watts observed that most people are walking through life half asleep. They're going through motions, checking boxes, fulfilling obligations. Wake up, go to work, come home, scroll, sleep, repeat. They're breathing, yes, but are they alive? Really alive? Then suddenly, someone appears. And in that person's presence, everything changes. Colors seem brighter. Laughter comes easier. Time moves differently. The world that felt gray and heavy suddenly feels full of possibility. This is the first reason people fall in love with you. You remind them what it feels like to be alive. Alan Watts said this aliveness is not about constant excitement or reckless adventure. It's about presence. Real presence. When you are fully here, fully engaged in this moment, you radiate a kind of energy that's magnetic. Not because you're performing. Not because you're trying. But because you're truly alive. Think about a child playing. They're not thinking about yesterday or tomorrow. They're absorbed, completely present. That's aliveness. Or a musician lost in their music, unaware of the audience, merged with the sound. That's aliveness. Or lovers laughing together without self-consciousness, without editing themselves. That's aliveness. And here's what Watts discovered: aliveness is contagious. When you embody this quality, others can't help but be drawn to it. You become like a flame in a dark room. People gravitate toward you, not because you're better than them, but because you remind them of something they'd forgotten. You remind them that it's possible to feel this way. To be this present. To be this free. But, and this is crucial, you cannot give someone else aliveness if you're dead inside yourself. You can't inspire vitality in others if you're numb to your own life. This is why all the techniques, all the dating strategies, all the manipulation tactics fail. Because they're performances. And you can't perform aliveness. You have to live it. Alan Watts would say, you want to know how to make someone fall in love with you? Stop performing. Stop editing yourself. Stop constantly measuring whether you're good enough. Just be here. Be real. Be alive. When you laugh, laugh fully. When you speak, speak honestly. When you feel something, let yourself feel it. This doesn't mean being reckless or inappropriate. It means being authentic. And authenticity, Watts taught, is the most attractive quality a human being can possess. Now here's the beautiful paradox: when you stop trying to impress people, you become impressive. When you stop trying to be interesting, you become interesting. Why? Because most people are so busy performing that when they meet someone who's simply being, it's like oxygen in a suffocated room. Think about the people you've fallen in love with. Was it really their resume that captured you? Their possessions? Or was it the way they made you feel when you were with them? The way time disappeared. The way you forgot to check your phone. The way you felt more like yourself than you had in years. That's the first reason. You awakened life in them. You reminded them what it feels like to be present, to be free, to be human. But here's the thing, and don't skip past this next part because it's absolutely critical: aliveness alone cannot sustain love. Fire that burns too hot consumes itself. This is why passionate relationships that have nothing else often collapse after 6 months, a year, maybe 2. The spark was real, but it burned out. Which brings us to the second reason people fall in love. And according to Alan Watts, this is the deeper one. This is the reason that creates lasting love. Second reason, home/sanctuary. Now here's the part most people miss entirely. And Alan Watts said this is perhaps the most profound aspect of love. People fall in love with you when they feel at home with you. Let that sink in for a moment. At home. What does that mean? According to Alan Watts, most people spend their entire lives in armor. They're protecting themselves, performing for others, hiding their flaws, editing their words, calculating their moves. The world demands this. At work, you must be professional. With acquaintances, you must be pleasant. On social media, you must be impressive. Everyone is wearing a mask, and wearing a mask is exhausting. But then they meet you. And something shifts. In your presence, they can remove the armor. They don't need to impress you. They don't need to perform. They can simply exist. Their flaws don't make them unworthy. Their wounds don't make them unwelcome. They can breathe. This, what's discovered, is the rarest gift one human being can give another, the gift of being a sanctuary. Think about what home really means. It's not just a place. It's a feeling. It's where you're not judged, not measured, not compared. Where you can be messy, imperfect, vulnerable, and still be accepted. When someone feels this with you, they fall in love. Not with an illusion, but with the freedom you offer them. Alan Watts said we're all carrying wounds. Every single person you meet is carrying something: shame, fear, regret, pain. And most people hide these wounds behind walls. They're terrified that if anyone sees the truth of who they are, they'll be rejected. So they keep performing, keep pretending, keep exhausting themselves trying to be acceptable. But with you, they can rest. The walls come down. And that rest, that relief, that sense of finally being seen and still being accepted, that is love at its deepest level. Now listen carefully to what I'm about to say, because this is where most people get confused. Being home for someone doesn't mean you tolerate abuse. It doesn't mean you have no boundaries. It doesn't mean you become a doormat. That's not sanctuary. That's self-abandonment. According to Alan Watts, true acceptance comes from being at home in yourself first. If you reject your own flaws, you'll reject them in others. If you're constantly judging yourself, you'll judge them too. But when you've learned to sit with your own humanity, your fears, your wounds, your imperfections, you create a space where others can rest in theirs. This is why the most lovable people are not the most perfect. They're the most real. They don't demand masks because they're not wearing one themselves. Their very presence whispers, "Here, you are safe." Think about your own life. Who are the people you love most deeply? Are they the ones who seem perfect? Or are they the ones who let you be yourself? The ones who see your mess and don't flinch? The ones who know your darkness and still sit with you? That's home. And when you create that for someone, they don't just love you. They need you. Not in a desperate, unhealthy way, but in the way a traveler needs shelter. In the way a wounded soul needs rest. Alan Watts would say, you cannot pretend to be a safe space while judging yourself. You cannot offer others acceptance you haven't given yourself. The work is always inward first. Be at peace with your own humanity, and you become peace for others. So now we have both reasons. Aliveness, the fire that awakens. Home, the shelter that protects. But here's the question, what happens when you combine these two forces? What does Alan Watts say about the integration of fire and sanctuary? This is where love transforms from a feeling into a way of being. So what happens when you combine these two forces? Alan Watts discovered something beautiful. True love is the dance between fire and home, between awakening and rest. Think about it. Aliveness without home burns out. It's passion without depth. It's exciting at first, thrilling even, but eventually it becomes exhausting. You can't live in constant intensity. The fire consumes itself, and what's left is ashes. Home without aliveness becomes stagnant. It's comfort without growth. It's safe, yes, but it's also boring. The relationship becomes routine, predictable, dead. You stop growing together. You stop seeing each other. You're just two people existing side by side, waiting for life to happen. But according to Alan Watts, when you embody both qualities, when you are both the spark and the sanctuary, you create something rare and precious. You become someone who makes others feel simultaneously awakened and at peace. Excited yet grounded. Free yet safe. This is the balance that sustains love across years, across challenges, across change. Watts said that most relationships fail because they only have one side. Some relationships are all fire, passionate, intense, dramatic. The sex is incredible, the fights are explosive, everything feels like a movie. But there's no peace. No rest. Eventually, people get tired. Eventually, they need calm. Other relationships are all comfort, stable, predictable, safe. There are no fights, but there's also no passion. No surprise. No growth. Eventually, people feel dead inside. Eventually, they crave aliveness. But when you understand what Alan Watts taught, you don't have to choose. You can be both. You can be the person who makes your partner feel alive at a dinner conversation and safe in a moment of vulnerability. You can be adventure and home. Storm and shelter. Fire and rest. Here's the practical truth, this isn't about balance in every moment. Some moments call for fire. Some call for calm. The key is that both exist within you. Your partner knows that when they need to be awakened, you can ignite them. And when they need to rest, you can shelter them. Alan Watts would say this is the secret to relationships that last. Not perfection. Not constant happiness. But the presence of both forces, the ability to dance between passion and peace. And here's what's most beautiful, when you embody this, you don't just attract love. You become love itself. Not love as a feeling, but love as a state of being. And people recognize this in you immediately. They may not understand why they're drawn to you. They'll just say, I feel different around you. I feel like myself. That is the highest compliment. That is love. So let me bring this all together, because Alan Watts would want you to see the complete picture. You've been asking the wrong question. The question isn't, how do I make someone love me? The question is, am I alive? Am I at home in myself? Because according to Alan Watts, you cannot give someone else what you don't possess yourself. You can't awaken others if you're asleep. You can't shelter others if you're at war with yourself. The path to love is the path to authenticity. Be alive in your own soul. Be at peace in your own skin. And love will come. Not as something you chase, but as something that recognizes itself in you. Here's the final truth that Alan Watts taught, people fall in love with you for only two reasons. You make them feel alive. You make them feel at home. That's it. Not your beauty, not your wealth, not your status or achievements. Those things may attract attention, but they don't create love. What creates love is your presence, fiery and calm, wild and safe, passionate and peaceful. So stop chasing. Stop performing. Stop wearing masks. Instead, become fully alive. Make peace with yourself. And then watch what happens. Watch how people are drawn to you. Watch how conversations deepen. Watch how connections form naturally, effortlessly. Alan Watts said that love is not possession but recognition. When the right soul meets you, they'll recognize themselves in you. They'll feel your fire and their own will ignite. They'll feel your calm and their own will settle. That is the miracle. That is love. Aliveness and home. Fire and sanctuary. The two halves of love's eternal truth. Now go. Live it. Thank you so much for staying with me through this exploration. If you found value in today's discussion, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who might benefit from it.